Unleash the power of your training. Welcome to Got Game? Here are your hosts, Desiree Lackey and Matt Cole.
And today's topic is Got Game on gamification. So let's start by first explaining gamification. A key thing to keep in mind is that gamification isn't just full-blown interactive games or activities, although that's really cool, but we've all seen in the latest workshop or conference. It can also be content, training, etc., that uses elements commonly found in games. Another way to think about gamification is that it is pretty much defined as using game-based mechanics, aesthetics to engage people, improve their skills performance, promote learning, and then solve problems. This can be anything from a well-timed think about it or knowledge check to full-blown AR/VR exercises or simulations. It's also important to note that gamification isn't just an e-learning thing. It can also be integrated into all aspects of training, like instructor-led or virtual instructor-led trainings, LMS activities, and even in job aids. Studies have shown that if someone is having fun while they're learning a task, they are more likely to retain that information. Instead of just simply reading about an activity or subject, your learner is participating in the learning process. Feedback tends to be provided in real time in order to inform that learner on how they are performing or learning the content at hand. And there are many, many large corporations that use gamification in their training. Some of the biggest is the U.S. Army, Starbucks, Walmart. I'm sure you could think of a few others, IKEA. So let's look at a few examples of gamification that we created for a few of our clients. This example is from one of our clients in the food and beverage industry. These types of drag and drops are used to provide a visual way to reinforce food safety and then also menu building for the client. This is from one of our clients in the technology industry. Their concern was how dry learning definitions and terminology can be, but knew the importance of providing that information to their learners. To deliver this content, we created a small game board type activity that presented terms, definitions, abbreviations, etc., in a more interactive way than just the usual post-course assessment method. It included a scoreboard that fed into a leaderboard to spur peer-to-peer competition in learning and completing that material. This one is another example from one of our clients in the food and beverage industry. It's a hangman type activity that we use to reinforce learning. In this instance, we used it around terminology they used, but it's a fun way to engage your learners in all sorts of topics like mission statements or vision statements or values. And then this example is from one of our clients in the technology industry. It was important for this client to make their learners aware of just how many things in a household used or could use Wi-Fi. So the custom solutions they spec'd and built were above and beyond those needs or built with expandable capabilities. The learner could tour through the different areas of the home in multiple ways and then interact with the Wi-Fi signals to learn more about the most common items they needed to consider. It was a way to use certain elements of gamification to turn a bulleted, itemized list into a more fluid and visually engaging activity to educate their learners around the topic. This is an example of our leaderboard via our LMS, but speaks to leaderboards in general as a great gamification element that spurs on learner engagement and content retention. Leaderboards can really encourage your learners to focus in on content as they try to get to that top spot on the leaderboard. Some clients we've worked with paired this with a physical or digital rewards and incentives like brand merchandise, gift cards, discounts, PTO, or preferred schedules. Whether winning rewards, badges, recognition, or just bragging rights, when built in and supportive of the content being learned, this can be a fun way to incorporate gamification elements into a curriculum. Gamified elements can be placed across other mediums of training, such as your VILT or ILT. When implemented well, they can increase participation, better engage the learner, positively boost team building and their outcomes, increase employee motivation, and improve knowledge transfer, retention, and recall. To the left are examples of ILT activities, which we also changed and tailored to VIL activities after the pandemic started. And then on the right is a reminder that post-pandemic in-person activities will be a thing again real soon. Some examples we've recently used internally is a numbers game exercise, which taught us how perspective can make all the difference in approaching problems and tasks. And then another one was role-playing a case study, which created a story and a narrative for each participant, and then was facilitated via Zoom through the breakout sessions to teach us about business negotiation skills. Training mediums outside of those one might consider traditional or too simple can be used to facilitate and drive engagement and learning. Some recent examples we've seen are a job aid that kicks off an internal scavenger hunt around the office, which was done all virtually, and then geared to introduce those new employees to the company, to their history, and then directing the new employee to many of the areas they need to know in their onboarding process. And then a job aid hanging posters that launched a simple AR experience for some visual pizzazz that links the learner with several just-in-time trainings, along with areas to learn more about whatever a device or equipment was, and a frequently asked support page and or contact page if they needed. So let's talk about it. What types of gamification elements have you used to increase your learner engagement?
Please, somebody else talk, because I have not used gamification.
Well, so I guess with that being in mind, I believe I heard that you were an educator.
I work for a company that sells technical or online safety and hazmat training.
Okay. And so
does it need gamification? Yes. Is it boring? Yes. Is it dry? Yes. But
so it sounds like
I'm not here to be able to hire you. That's the unfortunate portion. I'm here to see how we can use it.
No, and that's absolutely fine. We just love talking about the topic in general.
Yeah.
So with that topic in mind, what kind of products is it?
It's an online safety, automotive only, and it's safety and hazmat. All dry. The safety training goes along the OSHA guidelines on what you need to do. If you're an automotive shop, what are the the rules of what you need to train your employees on? On the hazmat, is how to handle a hazardous material product, how to ship it. That's where the DOT is involved. And so shipping back, and you've heard of the Takata recall on airbags. That is a hazardous material, and they don't like to train on it. They don't like to do it. They don't want to, take the time to train on it. But it is to be in compliance with the DOT. You must know.
Yeah, and I mean, so compliance training is some of the most difficult training I think I've personally encountered to really get your learners to engage with. Desiree.
Oh yeah, it's
Desiree, that might be the same case for you. And it really is, because a lot of compliance pieces are just the facts, ma'am. These are things you need to know. If you don't do them, someone will either get injured, maybe yourself, or you will be fined. you know, and around that general topic, I think we've found that some effective ways. So I guess before I offer some suggestions, would this be stuff that you're building yourself, Karen?
Yes, the company does build it themselves.
Okay, and then is there
it is highly reading, word intensive, you know, make sure the vocabulary is right. It's not good. I have tried to bring in gamification many times and just got flat out told no.
All right. Yeah. Desiree, would you have any suggestions around this that Karen might think about?
So one way that when I was working with one of our food and beverage industry, one of the things that I came up with to help for, I can't even think, vocabulary, was to come up with this type of a hangman game. And I just would put a definition, and then they would have 3 tries to come up with the letters and fill in the word. And as each time, this chicken changed until they actually got it right. Trying to think what you could.
Some of those things, I really like the idea, and that's why I wanted to be in this session with you, because I'll bring it back to the powers that be. I'm in business development only. I know what is used, what isn't. You know, it's not that the stuff is dry. That's not why they don't take the training. They just don't want to deal with, you know, it's the typical, you know, when the government tells you must be trained. Damien, I'm sure, sees this. Damien, I represent a company that does safety and hazmat training in the OEM dealerships. Yeah. And even though it's, you know, pennies does the, you know, train, and to be in compliance, you must. They still don't train everybody. They train just one person in the whole dealership.
Sure. I wonder if, you know, leaderboard.
I was going to say.
Solution.
That's what I was looking at. But
yeah, sort of driving that engagement to get your learners actually, you know, going through the material. I was just saying in the last session that this example that we used is probably about a year old, but I still remember all the content that we covered, and it was around company history, you know, where our CEO went to college and those items, but it really, all that stuck with me, and it's because I was trying to unseat Desiree, who is in the top spot there. You can find my name in the lowly 5 spot. But she was also, you know, relatively new to the company. She was the newest employee on the team, so she had bragging rights. There was no physical reward for this, but you could easily add that in as an element. You know, maybe schedule is a popular one, or getting that extra PTO day, or something that is actually an incentive for those people to go through that course and learn, you know, those pesky federal laws.
Right. Matt, is leaderboard only available on your LMS?
I mean, technically, we were speaking, so we showed a demo of the one that we have on our LMS, but you can technically have leaderboards on, I'm sure, other LMSs. I can't speak to them as clearly, but they would probably have similar functionality. Okay. And it's just most LMSs will tell you up front if they have options like that, because they want to tout it, you know.
Because that's something that I might bring it up and you know, see if that's something that you could develop with us, because we have a master contract with Stellantis, FCA, Chrysler, you know, name it who you want to name it. It just depends on what day of the week you're at. But and they train a lot of the people on the hazmat. It's mandatory. But that might be something that the dealerships might, Damien, you'd probably be able to speak to this more than I. You've got more of a finger on the pulse. But that might be something that if we could incorporate leaderboard in and get the dealerships start, even district-wide, starting to, compete with others. I don't know. It's interesting.
Yeah, and then go ahead.
Yeah, from a dealer sharing stuff is tough unless they're within the same organization.
That's true.
Yeah. Let me ask you, leaderboard is that showing course progression? Is that what that is?
No. So in this, sorry, what was that?
Yeah, I missed that. So let me ask you a question.
Sure.
Is it possible to do a gamification on course progression? So you're going through the course, and as you go through different modules, you get to certain numbers. It shows up you got to that number, what your assessments were, and almost like everybody sees your like the leaderboard.
Yeah.
But it shows how far you got. So you did the bonus material. Look who's doing the bonus material. This person, and all the salespeople, all the service advisors, they can see who's doing what and where they are and who's. So it creates that competitive world, along with the certifications, etc. Is that possible?
So yes, it would be possible. And Damien, I am going to shift this just a little bit. So first, I would love to talk with you more about that. Just to keep it on this topic.
Okay.
It would absolutely be possible. That is really just another form of the leaderboard, essentially. So you're just using different parameters. In this case, it would be course completion. So, learner X has completed 5 courses, and that gets them to that next tier. And that's their motivation, is then when they reach that tier, do they get a badge? Do they get, fireworks? Do they get some sort of tangible benefit? But yes, that would absolutely be possible to build.
So Karen, in your world, that's the answer. So for service advisors that we have to do training on with compliance issues, right?
Right.
Work in F&I as well. That little chunks of the whole picture, as they go through the little chunks, each one of them completed, they get the whole chunk of the nightmarish, wordy, breathy,
right
compliance piece, but they're doing it in 27 modules that get completed quickly. Mm-hmm. Correct? The trackability, the gamification of it is, showing a little maybe animations of, yay, you did it, you're finished this part.
Right.
Yeah,
Well, Damien, what we're trying to do is get more people trained to save lives. I mean, that's the bottom line, or save lives and limbs. Forget about the compliance issue. And if we could get some sort of competition amongst within the dealerships, and there's enough dealership groups that they could combine more than just themselves.
Yeah.
You'd be surprised how many people love competition. We just lost Matt. How many people actually just really love the competition side?
I think we upset him.
Yeah.
Well, he's still in here, so I don't. I have a feeling maybe he got booted out. But as human nature, we're competitors, and as you were saying, even just who is going to get to the top,
Yeah.
having the pretty badges that they can, put on, say, their email or anything like that. People really like that.
So Karen, so Desiree, another thing, is gamification possible when I ask somebody, look, what are your goals? What are your dreams? What do you want your life to look like? What kind of house do you want? Getting them into aspirational dream mode, building a vision board within gamification, setting your goals up and everything, in gamification. Is that something that's possible within this thing, or it's not the right format?
Can you elaborate a little more?
You'd have a great product to sell if you could do that, Dave.
Well, one of the goals is if I can get somebody to think about their possibilities, or the possibility of, here's the dream I'm going after in a dealership or a sales position, or
and then
any
put
position.
it back into the sales. Yeah.
Or this is, I got to get out of debt. I got to get out of debt, right? And so having short-term, mid-range, and ultimate dream, and build a dream board within that allows them to pick out pieces and design it's not really a questionnaire, it's not really a thing, but they're building something for themselves within it, so that it creates that, okay, I'm ready to go to work. Is that possible in gamification, or is that another part of the world I need to use?
I'm going to say, I think that's really, I mean, you could turn it into some type of a gamification element in the fact, like, they accomplish, their, SMART goals. And you could turn that into some type of a reward, which would become, we lost Matt again, which would become a type of gamification. He does
climbing a mountain. Climbing a mountain, right? We're climbing the mountain. This is the first part of the mountain. It's like climbing Mount Everest, and there's a different base camp. And this is the elements to get to this base camp. Yep. This is an element to get to this base camp. And as they add more stuff to it, it gamifies dreaming.
Right.
How about, Damien, when you take it that way, how about to climb to that next step out of base camp, they have to take these 3 courses, which is going to excel their sales ability.
Yeah.
And there you're that way.
Then you're leaderboarding it, you're gamifying it, you're making it competition and fun.
Okay.
What are some examples
can you white label that? Can you make something like that where Damien can take it to different dealers, and you only have it for each individual dealer group? And he can take that same concept and import their sales training into that same concept, so you're not recreating it every time.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's part of that's exactly right.
Yeah, you want to build it once and let Damien take it, and if it's ABC dealer group and they've got 50 dealers and you want to put their stuff in it, and it might be sales training, it might be technical. And if they get to level 3 on the technical training, they get a quarter raise, and they can open up this part of the vision board and show what they have an opportunity to provide their family with, because they've gotten this far and what this will bring to them.
Yeah. Desiree, what are some other games?
Oh, wow. There's so many different ones that you can build. Are you speaking on the lines of e-learning?
Yeah, on the lines of teaching people, and either course progression type games. I really like the course progression type games because really it thrives a bit. And I missed the first part of the program, so I'm sure it's on there. The other one would be individual skills type game, like when we talk about compliance and putting a deal jacket together, all the things that go to the deal jacket, right? Like all the driver's license, insurance card, where does it go? Does it go? What do you need to pay attention to? That would help in the process stuff.
Right. It's really endless. You can come up with all kinds of different types of games. This one I have on the screen right now, Matt actually built this. It almost kind of reminds you of like a Jeopardy type game. It was using what they've learned.
I like that.
And then it actually, he said it also had a leaderboard. So it spurred that competition to, get more questions right and quickly. It's good. I think his might not have had a timer in it. I'm reading what I had.
No.
But you could add a timer. You could add a timer, and then it's how fast.
Yeah, product knowledge for 50, right? And then you have process for 200,
Exactly.
Sales process.
Exactly. You could
delivery process for 300.
Exactly. You could and gain the points.
Oh, the Jeopardy thing. Oh, I love it.
Another one that I did, I don't know if you were here for this one, is using their vocabulary. And I had this chicken, they had 3 tries to come up with the final word, but they chose the letter and it would populate. And then the chicken, each time they missed, the chickens did something different. He might have had a sign. I can't remember what, because it's been a while since I did it. I know though at the end I had, you got it, and moved on to the next one. So you
and the chicken does this.
Yeah. It came about because I was thinking about hangman, and then I was like, I don't know, hangman. So, and it was a food and beverage, so chicken, so, and that's where I came up with this idea to reinforce vocabulary. And it was well received by the client on that one. They really enjoyed that.
Oh, this will be fun to play with.